Welcome back, or if you are new, welcome to Booksmart. We are a podcast that tries to encourage people, no matter what age, to read books, yet we do it in a bit different way. We aren't your typical book review, but we try to get around the topic. Just stay tuned until the end and you will see what we mean. I'm your host for the day, Bavia, and as usual, we ask our fellow subscribers to recommend us a book so we can present it for you. The book with the most votes was Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. 16-year-old Asa is living in Indianapolis who struggles with OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. One day at school, Asa's best and most fearless friend Daisy discovers that Russell Pickett, a billionaire construction magnate, and the father of one of Asa's old friends, Davis Pickett, has gone missing in the wake of fraud investigations. Tempted by the reward of $100,000 for information leading to Pickett's arrest, Daisy takes Asa on a search for the missing billionaire. So, does this sound tempting to you? As usual, we ask people from different ages and genders to rate this young adult novel, obviously without spoilers. Let's see what 44-year-old Kendra from Ashbourne, England wants to say about this book.
Personally, I didn't find this book as astonishing as my daughter told me. Please don't get me wrong, it was a wonderful book. But if you are a 44-year-old mother, high school books don't really tempt you that much. Obviously, I don't have much to say, as this book is a young adult novel and I am definitely not a young adult anymore. But if you are, you should definitely give this book a try. Personally, I would rate this book a 3.7 out of 5.
Thank you, Kendra. Next up, we have 22-year-old Oliver from El Paso, Texas.
Hi, I'm Oliver and I am a college student at Baylor University and my girlfriend almost forced me to read this novel. I am going to say one thing. I didn't particularly enjoy it. Let me rephrase that, I didn't enjoy it at all. I am a busy student, so when I took the time to read the book I was very disappointed because it felt like the book didn't even have a storyline. All the time it was jumping from one thing to the other. Don't get me wrong, the writing was beautiful but the story didn't suit me at all. I love horror and crime novels but this wasn't it. So, if you're looking for something action-like to read, this isn't the place for you, sorry. I would rate this book a solid 1.6 out of 5.
Thank you, Oliver, for the honest review. But don't go just yet, my fellow listeners. We still have 2 to go. Following Oliver, we have the 17-year-old Elio from San Marino in Italy.
I am a bookworm, no doubt. I really look up to John Green for his fantastic books, but I am not going to be biased for rating this book. While I was reading this novel, I really got the chance to discover how it feels like when you have OCD as a teenager. Obviously, when you grow up, you handle your disorder in a better way, but I really got the insight of how it feels like when you have other things going in your life such as puberty, friends, crushes, school, and also very oddly an investigation to win a huge amount of money. I am going to admit, when I was reading at night, some chapters didn't leave me wanting for more, which I think should be the trait of good books, but again, we aren't talking about a crime story here, but a young adult novel. I would give this book a solid 4 out of 5 stars.
Thank you, Elio. And lastly, we have a rating from 15-year-old Anne from Nashville in Arkansas.
My aunt gifted me this book for my 14th birthday, and I have to admit, it was the best gift I received that day. John Green uses high school romance and mixes it with a crime investigation while having a theme of mental illness. I am very sure that no author has done it before. But more importantly, it taught me a lesson. I shouldn't hold back my feelings. I should share them with people I love and trust. I would definitely give this book 5 out of 5 stars.
Thank you to all reviewers. If you want to be featured in our next book review session, don't forget to go to www.bookspart.com/review a book. This link will be automated when we are looking for reviewers, so don't forget to subscribe to our social medias because that's when we let our subscribers know when they can send a review in. As mentioned before, and by Elio, the novel's theme is obsessive-compulsive disorder. Many people might know this disorder as the hygiene freak disorder. But why do they call it like that? Because many people think that when you have OCD, you just want to keep things clean. But that isn't particularly always the case. case. We have Dr. Snow, specialist for mental disorders, right here in our studio with us. Good morning, Dr. Snow. How are you?
Could have not been better, Bavia. I am so glad to be on your show today.
So am I. So, Dr. Snow, when someone mentions OCD, what do you understand under this term?
Obsessive-compulsive disorder is an anxiety disorder in which time people have recurring unwanted thoughts, ideas, or sensations, obsessions, that make them feel driven to do something repetitively. Compulsions. The repetitive behaviors can significantly interfere with a person's daily activities and social interactions.
What are some examples for such compulsions?
Firstly, we have cleaning. How many people may have guessed? Patients clean to reduce the fear that germs, dirt, or chemicals will contaminate them. Some spend many hours washing themselves or cleaning their surroundings. Next, we have repeating. This may sound odd, but they do that to dispel anxiety. Some people utter a name or phrase or repeat a behavior several times. They know these repetitions won't actually guard against injury, but fear harm will occur if the repetitions aren't done. Thirdly, checking. Patients do that to reduce the fear of harming oneself or others by, for example, forgetting to lock the door or turn off the gas stove. Some people develop checking rituals. Others repeatedly retrace driving routes to be sure they haven't hit anyone. The following point may belong with cleaning, but many people suffering from OCD like to order and arrange to reduce discomfort. Some people like to put objects, such as books, in a certain order, or arrange household items just so, or in a symmetric fashion.
How can you treat OCD? Can it go away?
Sadly, the answer is no. The disorder cannot be removed, what some people would call it, but it can definitely get better. One treatment is cognitive behavioral therapy, known as exposure and response prevention. During treatment sessions, patients are exposed to situations that create anxiety and provoke compulsive behavior or mental rituals. Through exposure, patients learn to decrease and then stop the rituals that consume their lives. They find that the anxiety arising from their obsessions lessens without engaging in ritualistic behavior. This technique works well for patients whose compulsions focus on situations that can be recreated easily. For patients who engage in compulsive rituals because they fear catastrophic events that can't be recreated, therapy relies on imagining exposure to anxiety-producing situations. Throughout therapy, the patient follows exposure and response prevention guidelines on which the therapist and patient agree. Another treatment is medications. Some patients want to take medications to help their illness, and it has been proven that these methods work. But only when the patient is willing to take the meds regularly. And the last treatment would be self-help and just coping with it. Many patients don't like to have outer influences, so they try to cope with it themselves. For example, they try to do yoga and meditating, so they can relax.
Thank you so much, Dr. Snow, for being with us today. I hope we will see you again on our show soon.
Thank you for having me. Goodbye.
And sadly, fellow listeners, we have to come to an end today. Initially, it was planned that Mr. Green would join us today, but because of personal reasons, the author won't make it. That concludes this episode. If you decide to read this book, don't forget to write to us about how you liked or didn't like it. Join us next week, Thursday, 6 p.m. CEST, when we discuss the book Digital Fortress by Dan Brown featuring Mr. Brown. Goodbye for now.